Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video you'll be learning two things. The first thing you'll be learning is how to change a closure fringe back to a normal closure like this, and how to replace a closure without losing the entire wig. So let's get back into the video. To start, I had to remove the closure for me to work on. Now if you notice closely, the closure fringe was created with the back of the closure rather than the front. If the closure fringe was created with the front, there would have been no need for us to remove the closure to work on. The next stage is the removal of the shorter strands that was used to create the fringe. Now plucking alone would not give a good outcome. It will not make the net clean like this. So I went in with a hair removal cream applied at the back and at the front, only on the shorter strands to remove them. After a few minutes, I used my tweezers to pluck them out. It will be very easy to remove, and you can now shampoo and condition, and the net is going to be this clean. I don't know why my camera didn't record the process. Then I went into filling up of the closure. Now I noticed that the previous method of ventilation was a diagonal method, which is different from the pattern I used to ventilate for the lower section of any closure that I do. If you want to learn how to ventilate a closure, I'm going to tag it to this video. That's how you know the different methods of ventilation. And I was almost done here with the ventilation. Now voila, this is how it looks. So now the base has been completed, and it is time for us to put the closure back on the remaining part of the wig without actually losing the wig, because I don't want to wig the entire wig again. So I'm just going to put the closure back on the wig like nothing ever happened. So if you haven't subscribed by now, please do go back and subscribe, because I know you're learning a lot right now. So let's go into the closure placement. One thing you should know about replacing a closure without losing the entire wig is that the size of the closure that was used to before has to be the same size that you are using. So you can only replace a 2x6 with a 2x6 closure. You can't replace it with a larger closure or a lesser closure, except you have to re-wig. So I'm just showing you here how the previous hair was placed to give the back of the hair was used to create the fringe, but that's not what we want to do here. We want to make it a normal closure. So now if you notice, you can see like spaces around, like those black parts. I would explain later in the video, because I had to lose the other parts of the wig, that black side, because the closure hair has net extensions coming out of it. Do you get? And there was strips of hair still sewn around, so I had to lose those strips of hair before I could bring out the closure. Now ensure that when you want to put your closure, it has to be the same size with the space that was created. So you can see that I pinned down the wig cap with T-pins to create a space for the closure. So we have to go in with measuring both the closure and the space that was created if they are the same size. Now you're going to be measuring both the beginning of the closure, the middle of the closure, and the end of the closure. Actually they will be the same size for the closure. So here we have 2 inches and some little inchy. So I'm going to use it to also measure the space on the cap, both the beginning, the middle, and the end. So there's a probability that the space on the cap, maybe the beginning is not the same size with the middle, so you have to remove the pin and adjust the space created. If you don't measure the beginning, middle, and the end of the space you created, you could end up giving extra allowance on the cap, and the cap might end up becoming bigger than the customer's head size. Or if you're the owner of the wig, it will become bigger than your head size, and you don't want to start adjusting again. It would not be nice. So once you find out that there is fitting of both the closure and the space, you can now place your closure on the cap. So you make sure it is centralized as usual. Ensure the middle line is straight, and you can now pin both ends of the closure to the wig cap. You can now pin the entire closure to the wig cap so you can sew. So in this case, how do you know your center part is centralized? When the both ends of the closure, both sides of the beginning of the closure are at the both sides of that space you created. They are touching both sides. Yes, you put your pin at the middle, at the front, and at the back. Make sure you stretch the back a little, then pin. Ensure that part is centralized. Then you go in with the sides and start pinning them so you can sew easily. So just watch what I'm doing. In the process of pinning this closure down to your wig cap, make sure it is flat, like it is very, very flat. There is no bumpy area on the side. So if it's bumpy, the closure will not lay flat and would have a ripple effect whenever the customer wears it. So the same way when you want to wig, you place your closure flat on the wig cap, is the same way you are placing flat. You can see it is very, very flat on the wig cap. So as I'm done with this side, I'm going to do exactly the same thing to the other side. At this point, I was comfortable with how flat I had pinned the 2x6 closure on the wig cap, so it is flat, and now it is time for me to go in with sewing. I did my sewing off camera. It is the same way you sew strands, you sew weft to a normal wig cap. So it's the same method of sewing, nothing special. Now after doing this, the remaining extension that remain, now I can sew everything round till it reaches very close to the closure. When I was done, I restyled, and this is how the final look looks like. See how beautiful it looks. Nobody would know that it was previously a fringe. It was the perfect head fit, and it looked amazing. So I know you learned something from this video, so please, why don't you go back and hit the subscribe button and give me a like. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section below. I'll be right here to answer you. See you in my next video. Have a lovely day. Mwah.